Welcome to the setup and configuration of the AT-OCS-900N. In this video, we're going to look at how to set up and configure the OCS-900N sensor. The OCS-900N is shipped with DHCP enabled. Once connected to a network, the DHCP server will automatically assign an IP address to the unit. Using an IP scanner or executing the ARP, Address Resolution Protocol, at the command line, you can locate the sensor's MAC address and the IP address. The MAC address is found underneath the cap on the unit. When the sensor cap is off, be careful to not touch or apply pressure to the IR sensor. Doing so may damage or break the IR sensor. When you log in for the first time, you will be asked to create login credentials. Both the username and password must be 5 to 16 characters in length. Alphanumeric characters and symbols are permitted. From the dashboard, you can see all of the settings for the OCS-900N. We encourage you to set the network connection first. Under the network section, you can enable or disable DHCP and change the host name, which will add the last 3 octets of the MAC address by default. The host name is a way to be able to locate the sensor without memorizing the MAC address or worrying about changes to the IP address. Our host name is limited to 15 characters. Just below the network settings is the user credentials. It is recommended to change the login credentials often to restrict the access to the OCS-900N by unauthorized users. Both the username and password can be changed. The OCS-900N can be assigned a name and a location for reference. This information is optional, but can be useful to identify multiple OCS-900N units. Name and location information will be displayed under the dashboard menu. OCS-900N settings can be saved to and loaded from a local file. It is recommended to save the device settings once the unit is properly configured. Configuration files are stored in a JSON format. Under the sensor actions, you can use the Identify Device button to flash the OCS-900N so that you can locate it in a large space or where there are multiple sensors. Now let's look at the sensor configuration and the LED indicator color modifications. In the Motion On event field, enter the period of continuous motion in seconds that will be required before a Motion On event is triggered. In the Motion Off event field, enter the delay in minutes in which there is no motion before the Motion Off event is triggered. The OCS-900N has a single center and 3 outer LED indicators. You can use either the center or the outer. Removing the lens cap will expose the LED indicators. The color of each of these LED indicators can be changed to any color. You can locate the LED indicator window group, click the illumination location drop-down list, and select either center or outer. You can update the colors by RGB or by hex. Let's change our motion state to Atlona orange and our no motion state to a bright blue. Next, let's look at the ambient light sensor window group. Click the sensitivity down drop list and select the desired settings. For brighter environments, set a sensitivity setting in a lower value. For darker environments, set the sensitivity setting to a higher value. Under Events, enter the sensor communication threshold. This is the change we would need in the white intensity level to trigger an event. The default is set to 300, but you can change it to any number that would be sufficient for your environment. Here's an example. In the first image, the room is overcast and the white reading is in the 800s. But in the second image, it's later in the day and the sun has come out and the reading is well over 1800. We would want this to trigger a change in the room lighting. Last on this tab is the ambient temperature sensor window group. The current ambient temperature will be displayed. In the provided field, enter the change in temperature when the event should be triggered. 1800 Celsius. 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 1800 Cel Click the drop-down list next to this field to select either Fahrenheit or Celsius. Be aware that when you first log in and after the sensor is rebooted, it will show stabilizing for up to an hour while the device calibrates to the environment. The last section is the protocols. Each of these toggle switches provides quick enabling and disabling of these protocols. This first section is UDP. It allows the sensor to process any incoming messages on port 9000. If UDP is disabled, then events will be limited to only the subscribers below. To enable or disable UDP, you can click the toggle switch. Enabling TCP will allow the sensor to create 3 simultaneous connections on port 9000. This setting does not impact the web server of the OCS-900N. To enable and disable TCP, click the toggle switch. Enabling WebSockets will allow the OCS-900N to create up to 3 simultaneous connections to the web server. Enabling MQTT will allow the client devices to subscribe to the MQ broker or the server and receive information on specific topics. All of these can be enabled and disabled from the dashboard if needed. That's it for the main configuration of the OCS-900N. If you'd like to learn more about connecting to other devices in the Atlona ecosystem, such as our Velocity and the Wave, and what the API for third-party devices looks like, check out the additional videos in this series at Atlona Academy and the Atlona website. Thanks for watching.